Hello, welcome everybody to the Kanban New Zealand meetup group tonight. We've got Sally in a very, very exciting event, how I find. I'm really looking forward to it. She will share how the classes that she attended at end of 2023, beginning of 2024 was the Kanban System Design class and the Kanban for Design and Innovation, which is a fairly new class. The second one, particularly for product owners, product managers, BAs, so everybody who works in the backlog area, if you like. And how attending has, how they implemented what she learned and what the improvements were. And she'll share some exciting numbers as well. Hello, everybody who's just joined. We're just doing a little welcome here. And yeah, so Sally works at Plexure, but she'll talk a little bit about herself and what that organization is, if you don't know it yet. And those who have actually made an effort to join, do watch out in the chat, because I want to share a special discount, because we have that Kanban System Design class actually next weekend, like not this coming, the next one. And it's confirmed since today. And we also have in March the Kanban Systems Improvement, which is more for the delivery part, also confirmed. And I'll give a little discount, only just for those who are here. And that's why I'm not announcing it in the recording. So watch out for the chat. Thank you so much, Sally, for doing this here today. And I hand over to you.
Let me unmute myself. Can you guys see my black screen right now?
Yes, beautiful picture.
Thank you. Welcome, everyone. My name is Sally, and I'm here to talk about transforming the product and development teams using Kanban. First, today I'll give an introduction about myself, and then what was the Kanban course that I actually attended, what I learned in each of the courses, and then what we actually make change and implement at work. And then I'll talk a bit more in detail of with those changes, what was the results and what we observed. I'll wrap up with a conclusion, and I'll give some time for the floor for you guys to raise some questions. So first of all, about myself, I'm born in Hong Kong. I love food. If you see me in a photo with food on it, I'm usually smiling very happily. I love traveling, and I've always said that it's my parents who give me the travel bug because they've taken me traveling since I was young. And this final photo here in the middle, she's my favorite person in this world. She's my daughter and my cheerleader and the joy of my life. I work as a product owner for the loyalty domain at Plexure. Plexure is a leader in providing personalization and customer engagement services to McDonald's global markets. So as a product owner for the loyalty domain, my team is responsible for the loyalty program that McDonald's offers to their customer. So if you have downloaded the McDonald's app and joined the loyalty program, you see that you can earn points through the purchases and later use these points to redeem them for food rewards or other rewards, such as TV subscription or McDonald's merchandise. Plexure has other domains, such as the messaging domain or the consumer domain. And in total, we power the mobile engagement for 323 million users in 66 countries and in 40 languages with 11 billion API calls per month. So what was the course that I went on with Silky? The first one was the Kanban System Design, a 4-day course. I learned about the fundamentals of Kanban, how we design a Kanban system and implement Kanban principles. Second one is the Kanban Design and Innovation, a 2-day course as well, where we learn about managing upstream work. I'll talk a bit more about what upstream work is later. This is an example screenshot of what we did in the course. In one of the groups that we participate in, we used the loyalty program that I look after to design a Kanban board. And you can see we've designed it upstream and also a downstream level, basically talk about all the work that comes in, what we should do with it, and then how it flows into the team. And this is one of the exercises that we did in the course. And I definitely refer back to this sometimes in my board current at work and see, oh, are there things I could change or improve in my current workplace? So I attended those two courses. What did I learn? These are some of the things I want to call out that kind of spoke to me and I want to call them out. First one is about customer focus. We talk about prioritizing value delivery, focusing on the customer. The second value being flow, where we ensure a smooth movement of work. And the third value, leadership, where everyone takes responsibility at all levels. And as leaders, we lead by examples. Another thing we learned is about change management. We always start with what we know, start by measuring our current flow before implementing any changes, and then respecting our existing roles within the team and understand the current process first. Another thing is utilizing metrics. We learned about the CFD diagram as shown here on the right-hand side, the cumulative flow diagram, and then lead time, which is the measurement of the work from start to finish. Another thing we learned is about visualizing the flow system. We learned about the pull system, where tickets are pulled from left to right. We talked about the commitment point, where tickets are committed into the flow system when that happens. And the WIP limit, work in progress limit. This controls the number of tickets that is in each column. Last but not least, about visibility of the work. We always want to show all the work that we are working on, providing transparency for everyone, for all the team members. So with all these learnings in place, what did we actually implement at work? First thing at the beginning, I had no idea how long my team was taking to work on a ticket. I wasn't measuring it. The ticket was just working, going through the board. We don't know how long it's taking, if there was any blockers, etc. So the first thing was starting with what we know. We wanted to track our metrics. We tracked our cycle time. We created a board to track the cycle time and the cumulative flow. And so because we use ADO at work, cycle time is measuring the work from start to finish. And at the beginning, when we first started tracking it, our initial cycle time was 30 to 40 days. So this became our baseline. Now, not sure if you know, we have a daily stand-up. Not sure if you guys have that at your workplace, but it kind of became a really mundane conversation where it's just, okay, we're working about this, we're working about that, just one at a time, each team member. Therefore, we actually really want to use that time more effectively. The next easiest thing for us to do is visualize our flow system, our work inside it. So there's 4 things. The first one we did is update the board with WIP limits, where it's both a column limit and a ticket limit. Second, we added due dates on ticket titles to make the due date really clear. And we were using colors to differentiate stale tickets. And the fourth one, we experimented with swim lanes when we needed it versus not needing it. I will now talk about each one of them in detail and how each of this change impacted our team. The first one, updating the board with our WIP limit. At the beginning, our WIP wasn't really sensible. It was just a number on there. We weren't looking at it. We weren't referring to it. It wasn't really applicable for our development team size. So it wasn't really serving its purpose. So with discussion, we updated this WIP limit based on the team's agreement. Now, WIP gets highlighted in red, as shown here, when it's over the limit, right? When we see this, it triggers a meaningful conversation in our daily stand-up. For example, what should we do as a team if a particular column is over the limit? If the testing column is over the limit, should the team all help with testing? Or if it's waiting for PR reviews, should the team just jump on and help out? So we were having these conversations where we noticed that a WIP is red. Then halfway through the year, we actually noticed that our one weekly refinement meeting was not enough because our refining column was consistently under WIP. So we have it on Thursday, it's our usual weekly refinement. But by Monday, it's quite dry, this column, 1 or 2 tickets left. It's not enough for us to wait till Thursday. So this observation lead us to actually book an ad hoc refining meeting, where if there is a need, because that column is quite dry, we will have this meeting and refine the tickets that is in there. There's also a time where we have work and there's time that it needs to be done by. And what has happened was either the team lead or myself will have to remind the team to go, hey, there's that piece of work. Remember, it's due on Friday. And it might be because it's a customer commitment. It might be because it is a deployment need. So we were doing that. We were having to mentally remember and reminding the team. Or sometimes we were just sending a message in Slack to remind them it's due on Friday. So to make it clearer for the team, we just add a due date on the ticket titles. It's an easy change. If we knew when it should be due by, we add a date in the front. So now it gives a really clear visualization. It helps the team to self-prioritize without anyone reminding them. Basically, anyone seeing the due date is close, they should start picking up the ticket. This actually feeds into one of the value that we talked about earlier, where it's about, did it go away? Leadership, where everyone takes responsibility at all levels. The third one, where we have always actually had colors on our tickets. However, we weren't actually referring to it, or the rule that we were using to color code those tickets were not applicable for our needs. So we actually discussed and updated the rules behind the scene so that the colors is actually sensible for our team. So as you can see here, we've got white, light yellow, dark yellow, and gray. And what that means is like when something is in this column that's new in the column, after 5 days, it will be light yellow. After 10 days, it will be dark yellow. After 15 days, it's gray. What that means is we will identify stale tickets. Again, in our stand-up, we will talk about this stale work. Do we need to support it? Do the person working on it need to support it? Do they want someone to pair with them? Do they need a PR review, or are they just needing some help to talk through it? So we have that conversation in stand-up. Again, this feeds into another value that we talked about earlier, where it's about the flow. We're focusing on ensuring the smooth movement of work across the board. The fourth thing with visualization that we changed was that we experimented with swim lanes. At the beginning, we actually had swim lanes on our board. Swim lanes helped us with visualizing our prioritized work that might be more customer specific or project based. We were also using it separately to measure metrics. We were using it to see, for this particular slice of work, how many percentage, i.e. scope, was left to do. We were measuring for that. Then eventually, we stopped using swim lanes. We got rid of it altogether. It was actually just easier for the team to prioritize the work altogether. When the team pull the tickets from left to right, now they don't have to worry about which swim lane they have to pull it into. It's just a less administrative and mental load for them. So as a PO, if I wanted to know which project or which customer value that work belong to, I refer to the parent, the parent will be able to tell us which value slice it feeds into anyways. So other than visualizing our flow system, the next change we implemented was triaging our work. One of the problem we had was when the Kanban with refining column board was dry, the team lead or myself will have to quickly catch up and go, oh, what should we pick up next? Whether it's a piece of feature work or whether it should be tick that they could pull in. It was a bit unclear what we should be picking up next sometimes. So to resolve this, we introduced a triaging meeting. This meeting consists of the product owner, the team lead, and the architect. We started triaging our tickets based on the value versus the effort matrix. So we were doing that weekly at the beginning because in our backlog, we had a lot of tickets that needed triaging. But over time, because everything was triaged and we were on top of it, we changed to a fortnightly cadence. So our backlog is basically triage based on work effort high to low versus customer value high to low. If something is a work effort that is a low effort, but we know it's of high customer value, they are quick wins. We want to do them first. This feeds into the value one that we talked about, where we are customer focused, we are focused on delivering value. As a result of this regular triaging, we noticed that anyone, the PO or the team lead, can pull in tickets into the refining column whenever the board is dry. Because we have triaged them together, we are confident that they are the next highest value item that we want the team to work on. And if not, either of us is on leave, the other person is still confident that they are always constantly pulling in the highest value item as well. This is just an example of the text that we were using currently in our board to triage our tickets with effort and value and then tags. At one point, the team was approached to give some suggestion on, hey, what do loyalty want to work on next? What should be the next piece of work in the roadmap? At that time, it was a very big question because it's unclear to us what options there are, what ideas could we possibly do. Therefore, I created this upstream candidates Kanban board. Upstream candidates are basically any problems, any opportunities, any ideas, any issues that we are aware of. We just put all these ideas and candidates onto this board. It's from emails, it could be from Slack messages, it could be from customer requests, it could be our own tickets, it could be our vision, our strategy for the future of loyalty. We just put our ideas onto here. And then the product owner, team lead, and architect, we review these upstream candidates monthly. We discuss what is the next highest piece of work we want the team to work on next. We compare these candidates against each other, which one may be of more high value. We always discuss at a very high level, and we don't really talk about the details of the current work items on this board. And during this discussion, we might find that, oh, we need to know more about this idea. We want to go find out more for a certain candidate. So then we might reach out to our relevant stakeholders to try and find more information. So as a team, we just kind of continue to contribute to this board. Whenever we get a message, we get a request, an idea, we just put an idea onto here. So we are continuously prioritizing our work against each other. Now, with all those changes in place, we actually went back and reviewed our metrics. We noticed that our cycle time reduced. Remember, at the beginning, our baseline cycle time was 30 to 40 days. By the end of last year, our cycle time was consistently 9 to 10 days. That means on average, each one of our work ticket from start to close was taking approximately 10 working days. We also work hard on our CFD as a team. That is as a team, we've worked really hard to keep our lines really close together. That means we're refining tickets and they go into progress, they go into testing, and they get close really fast and they're really close together. That's what the CFD will tell us. In our team setting, we have a weekly update where we review these two metrics together. And for the team, it's just good for them to see how they're tracking with their metrics, with the cycle time and with the CFD. As a result, for the whole team, we are confident that we are focused on the customer. We know we're delivering value and we are doing this faster than before. To reiterate some of the key outcomes based on what we have implemented. By reviewing and updating our WIP limits to something that is sensible for the team, it triggered meaningful conversations in our daily stand-up. By adding due dates to our tickets, it makes it clearer for the team and just encourage them to self-prioritize. We updated the color coding in our tickets so that it is relevant to us, and it encouraged the team to discuss on the work that hasn't moved, that has become stale. We improved our prioritization process and simplified it so that eventually when we eventually remove the swim lanes in our board. And our strategic decision making was improved because we are continuously reviewing our upstream candidates together. In conclusion, there is a lot of information that we learned from the KSD and KDI course, but what we know is we implemented one change at a time. It's actually really hard for the team to adapt if we were implementing all these changes in one go. We always explain the why to get the team buy-in. Sometimes they are just in general happier when they understand the why we're making those changes. And with all these changes we discussed, it actually took overall the whole of last year for it to be all implemented and for us to see this transforming result by the end of the year. So be patient and know that any progress takes time. As it said in the fortune cookie that I received in Chinese New Year this year, it does not matter how slowly you go, so long as you do not stop. Thank you. And any questions?
Thank you so much, Sally. There are some hearts coming your way, I can see. Yeah. And from Amy, another one too. From everybody.
Thank
So
you.
nice. And someone new is actually just joining now, Anthony. He's in Ireland. Any questions? Welcome to put them in the chat or unmute, just shout out. We love to just network here and be a community, socialize. So you're welcome to really just do as if you were in an in-person thing.
Hi, Sally. This is Thomas.
Hi.
It's a very well presented work. I have one question about the pull system. How did the team's behavior change? How did the team behave when it came to pulling from left to right? And probably they won't have an opportunity to push it back where to the previous stage or column. Right? How was the behavior of the team?
Hi, Thomas. Thanks for your question. First of all, I think the first behavior that we notice is because we talk about Kanban, we talk about pulling, and we always, when we in our daily stand-up, we always review the tickets that's on the right-hand side first. So it's always about how can we pull the tickets so that it gets closed. So as a team, we focus on, okay, what's next in testing that we can jump on? Okay, nothing there. What's next in review that we can all contribute to? And then before we go into in progress, before we need to refine. One thing I noticed is that we aren't starting all these tickets that don't get closed. That's, I think, the first observation that we noticed. And your second question about maybe sometimes we want to put it back, right? Put it back to the left-hand side. To be honest with you, sometimes that does happen. So, for example, they might have picked up a take that ticket. And when they started looking at it, they go, oh, actually, it's a much bigger piece of work than they initially anticipated. Or it's just much more complex and there's more questions to be answered. And when we talk about it and stand up, I might go, actually, we have higher value work that is needed, we've committed to for a customer with delivery dates. Let's pull it back. Sometimes that happen. I'm always interested because sometimes you talk about waste. Does that mean there is waste for those work? Maybe, maybe not, because that person that picked it up, the developer, they might have documented what they found or the newest findings or the latest information in that ticket. So we know if we do pull it back into the board in the future, we've got more information to help contribute to it for the future. So yeah, it does happen in reality, in real life. Yes.
Yes. It's when you asked me as a Kanban teacher, what I would say, it is a case where you ask the question, why did we pull it in the first place? Is there anything we can improve in the process? So anything we say, don't put tickets back leftwards, but
Yes.
in reality it happens, and that's just something to learn from, where you can ask the question, why did we
Yeah.
pull it if it wasn't ready?
Yeah.
Yeah. Then there was a question from El Hadidi. How did the team feel about the reduced cycle time?
I don't know. My team, typical developers, they are just a quiet bunch. I do that weekly and go, yay, you guys did great. You guys reduced by 2 days. And then next week I'll go, yay, you guys reduced by 2 days. And they'll be like, silence. So they are not exactly showing me that they are ecstatic, but I hope that they are happy about it. And it is literally like a game for us. We go, oh, last week you guys got 16, but this week you guys are on 14. Good job. And like, they know that like as a joke, I'm always about improving that work faster. How can we make ourselves work faster?
I may ask how big or how small is the team?
My team, at the moment, we have 6 developers, going to have two QAs and a team lead.
Okay, so when it comes to looking at the board day by day from right to left, which work to focus on, behaviorally, what I've noticed in some of the teams is they don't they're not very open, with a silent bunch like yours. I'm not really sure. Right? Generally, it is the Asian thing, right? So it's very difficult for them to swamp into one piece of work and then finish it off and go. Rather, they want to be in a silo and then let me do my work. Yeah, tell me what is my work and then I'll do that. Yeah, so this kind of behavior I've noticed as well. So did you face this kind of issues with your team, or how open they were?
We did change quite a bit. So I think, stand-ups, we ran it so many different ways and we are literally just experiment. At one point in time, we were asking, what are you working on? Are you blocked? How can we support you? What are you planning to do next? We did it at that like kind of format. And then we go and then we change and go, okay, let's just like everyone. Okay, like Sally, what are you working on? You talk. And then like Thomas, what are you working on? Talk. And then we did that. And then now we're like, okay, we're just literally looking from the board from right hand side. What was closed yesterday? Do we need to know anything? Cool. And the next column, what is in testing? Next column, what is in peer review? And so it's no longer calling out onto a person. It's about the work as a team. So as a team, this piece of work, what can we do to make it go closed. And then as a team, what can we do to move this from peer review to in testing? So we are more focused on the work, not Sally, how are you performing? Are you doing more work than the next person? Or are you quiet because you're not working? We're not doing it that way. So sometimes one person speaks, sometimes one person don't speak at all because maybe they don't have anything on the board. We don't really call it out. It's more we focus on the pieces of work. And to answer you, maybe I haven't had a chance to go, they don't want to talk yet because, or they don't talk yet because, I think in our company, the culture is we have a daily stand-up. I know some teams, they don't do daily stand-ups. They just do daily update, but via Slack. But my team, thankfully, they are still willing to do the daily stand-up, get together literally 15 minutes a day. There's nothing more than that. That's the only time we talk face to face.
Great. Yeah. Thank you, Sally.
Maybe I would actually like to say one thing as a Kanban teacher here or trainer. For those that are maybe new to Kanban and might listen to this meetup event, do not go back to your team and do exactly what Sally has presented. Every Kanban system is unique. And what we always say, never copy an existing Kanban system. So you really need to go with your own context and apply what applies to your team, how your team works, and what makes most sense for you. That's maybe one of the trickier things, but it's also one that is very enjoyable and that brings the best results. That's a really, really important thing. So it's not like a process framework where we have practices, principles, and that's what we do. You do even not have to introduce WIP limits from the start, even though that's the most known thing in Kanban. Yeah, but that's just like a subline from the teacher. Are there any more questions?
Sally Chanel here. I had a question as well. Great presentation, by the way. You mentioned the value versus effort matrix. How did you guys define value and effort? How did you assess what's the value? Is it high value, low value? Yeah.
I have to say, this is where we definitely need to work together. So effort is more the team lead or the architect. They will know, they'll have an idea for that piece of work. It sounds like a high effort versus low. They'll be able to give the comment. I might have an idea because I've worked with them long enough, but I always trust their instinct and we talk about that. Funny story, sometimes a team lead complains because he wishes there is a medium effort option. And I said, no, there isn't. You have to decide high or low. And then my for the value is more, in my mind, it's more customer value. So I kind of, that's where I come in. From what I know for the product, do we see that as of high value for the customer versus low? And obviously, they will have contribution as well. And that's why we always do this triaging together. They might know something else I don't, and I might know something they don't, and we share. And sometimes the value may be internal value, right? It might be alerts, that's more internal value for my team. So they will know the value of that.
Okay, cool. That sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any more questions? Now is your time. Maybe one for me, it just comes up in my mind. How would you value the courses that you've done with me?
Oh, well, you put me on the spot. No, just kidding.
Not really, no, it wasn't meaning to, but maybe in comparison with others also. I'm curious,
just joking.
actually. I'm really curious
Yeah,
and also open for feedback.
Yeah, because I think for me, there is the concept of Kanban. By doing the course, you're just learning so many things. And you're like, oh, actually this, or actually that, and you're learning those details. for me, doing the course is great. And like I said, the screenshot I showed about the loyalty program Kanban board we did, I thought that was such an interesting group discussion. And the team members were asking a lot of good questions, trigger us really thinking, how would you build a board if you had the scenario? And so, yeah, I find that quite helpful. And then obviously the most helpful is actually making these changes in the workplace and actually see the results and see the change in the team. Yeah.
Thank
And
you.
I learned from you about upstream. So like the upstream from the KDI, sorry, that's where like we're trying to actually, this year, my goal is to do my upstream even better. I'm gonna change my board and make it even better. Yeah.
Nice. Very
Sorry,
cool.
Anthony.
Water tempo is attacking.
Pardon?
Little does he realize this is the Fire Nation.
Okay, I just muted them.
That
Anthony had a question in the chat. Anthony, do you like to ask
Yeah.
it in person?
Yeah, you can hear me all right, guys?
Yep.
Yep, cool. Sally, how did the customers who are accustomed to pushing work in and extracting an optimistic promise to get their thing delivered, how did they respond to the changes where now you're a pull system and people go, this is where you fit in the scheme of things, as opposed to, no, I just want my thing done.
So I only heard half the question. Can you repeat that? Did you say, how did my customer react?
Yes.
Sorry.
So I'll say, how did your customers, did you have any customers who are accustomed to pushing work in and extracting an overpromise on how fast it be delivered and quality, and then they're used to demanding that and getting that. How did they respond to the changes where they're now part of a system and they have to see where they fit?
I actually see it another way, because actually now with Kanban, when we do get requests from the customers or stakeholders, I'll be able to immediately prioritize it against all the other work, right? Actually, I would say that they're actually getting value, like getting it faster than before. Whereas previously we might go, oh no, you have to wait till the next refinement or next sprint. I don't do that. As long as I get those requests and we triage them, we look at them, we understand what we're trying to do, etc. We are actually able to plan it in, and our turnaround time is actually faster than before. But obviously, as a product owner, I do have to prioritize it against all the other committed work that we've already got on the board. Yeah. Hope that answers your question.
And I guess there needs to be some communication also going right from you to the stakeholders and
oh yeah, that's that's like we always give an effort estimation at the beginning. It's gonna take us 2 weeks, a month, and then yeah, for sure, of course.
Anthony, you wanted to ask something more? But
No, I think okay. How much did they so the customers see so Kanban allows the team to see. Are the customers part of that conversation now, or are they largely insulated from that and it's really just the team?
Right. So if you say customer, like external stakeholders or maybe other domain teams, they are not in this conversation. Our daily stand-up will just be our development team. So no, in short, they don't see this board. I mean, they can internally within Plexure, other domain team can see the board, but external stakeholders, McDonald's, do not see our board. It's actually, yeah, for us to manage our work.
Cool. Okay.
all questions answered?
One more question. How much time and effort of the team did you have to spend working on upstream, like preparing work to be ready to pull?
That's a very hard question. Every piece of work is very different. Gosh, you can get a customer request, and we will spend 2 days looking at the clarifying requirements. Someone do a quick spike and go, yep, it's something we could do. Go back to the customer and go, if you guys are willing, like if that makes sense and all good, we can plan it in. Some times, and when we say upstream, that's where in one of my screenshot is basically we as a team as a PO, we have to do problem discovery and solution discovery. So that could take a long time depending on how massive that job is or the scope of the work. It could take months. It could take 1 or 2 months from at the fact that, oh, there's an idea coming into our head. And then we start writing down the requirements, the scope, the out of scope, and then, oh, okay, that looks about right. And then pass it on to the architects and the team lead to go, what solutions, options are there to solve this problem? And they take another month and we are never doing only one at one time. We might have 2 or more in parallel that we are looking into. So it could be days, it could be months. It's really just depending on the scope of the work. Yeah.
So last question. Limiting width enables you to focus, which enables you to get more stuff through, right? The upstream stuff, takes its own time. How are the team taking things at the moment in relation to you've got your downstream work that is focused, and the top priority, you know what to focus on, and you don't have to context switch all the time and all that sort of stuff. And you've got that mixed with the upstream work that is can sometimes be well, you know what? Not some of it can be chaotic, right?
Right. So, okay, maybe I guess I'll share a bit more because the team have the current work. We might have already planned it depending on the work 3 to 6 months out. So the work is actually the scope of the work is already planned at least 3 to 6 months at least. And so during this time that they are actively in development, we're already thinking about the 2 or 3 other ideas or problems that we could slot in. And for me, personally, I will have various, as in some are bigger problems that needs longer time, and I always have a smaller problem that we already really clear on the problem, we're really clear on the solution, and if the team works so fast that they ran out of work, I can quickly slot that in to the roadmap to fill in a month or 2. We always have that, but at the moment their work has just been, it's just large piece of work.
Last question. Sorry, I said it was the last question, and I lied.
Multiple times,
but
that's okay.
you can opt not to answer this one if you want. Is okay. How much of the team who are focused on downstream work, how much of their time do they need to spend on this chaotic upstream work, and how does it help with how do they handle that to be able to maintain focus on consistent delivery?
Thanks. That's a good question. I guess I haven't really explicitly got a rule per se. The team is focused on downstream work. The 3 of us, myself, the PO, team lead, and the architects, are focused on the upstream work. Sometimes, by the time we get to solution discovery, we're pretty sure what solution we want to do. We will involve one developer to participate because we want to share knowledge, right? We want that developer and the team lead to design the solution, make sure everything's like bounce ideas off each other. So one developer at a time will come work with us in the upstream. But it's not like a rule per se that I go, oh, if Anthony, you're working on upstream, then I can't invite Thomas in the second conversation. I don't really have that. But that's kind of just subconsciously we try to do that. Another thing is we actually have this other practice in place, which is what I was talking about with limits, where it's not just column based. We have items based, which type, ticket type based, which is we actually always have a support person on roster every week. One person in the team is on support that week. So that person is literally answering support questions like that comes in. And that person is also helping me. If I was like, oh, I have this idea, I need you to check the code base. Can you check this for me? That's the person I go to disrupt basically, because that person that week is context switching all the time. The other guys are focused on the downstream work. That's the idea.
So everyone has that week of, I'll take one for the team. I'll do the context switching this week. You guys get to focus, and next week it'll be someone else.
Yeah, we do that.
That makes sense.
Mm.
That's actually really good.
I've got some more questions from other people.
Yes.
In the chat. So Talat says, I'm new to Kanban cycles. How are they similar to or different from Scrum sprints? How can you decide when a cycle is complete? There is a mindset coming up here, I think. That's hard to write sometimes.
Oh, what a great question. Because not because Silky is here that I say this. I used to work in a company that we did sprint. Yeah. I used to work in a company that we did sprints. I tell you, before Silky and before Kanban, I was like, no, sprint is the best. That's the only thing I'll ever do. And I did. I truly believe in that. And so when I came into this team, they were already in Kanban. And I was like, oh, I'm going to change them over to sprints. But then I decided, like I said, I want to watch and learn what they're doing first before I made any change. So I watched the Kanban and I did the course. And the problem with sprint, for me, from experience, they're different because, like, let's say if it's a 2-week sprint, I need to have committed my work, what I want to do in the next 2 weeks. I need to have committed that. And the planning that we did was, going through all 40 tickets maybe, and then refine it with the team and do the estimations and whatnot. And we'll have a planning session. We go through all the tickets, and that is planned in the sprint. And from previous company, my experience was that we might go through the 40 tickets and we only did 10 or 15. And then next sprint planning comes, we redo that, another 40 tickets, and then we only did the top 10. And at one point, I guess for me, it felt quite demoralizing because it's like, oh, I never get anything finished. And we're always sitting in this planning meeting talking about tickets that we never got to do. So then with Kanban, the thing is we're only talking about the tickets when we know they are ready to start. And so I think that's the biggest difference. We are literally talking about them only we know we are ready to start. It's past the commitment point. We can start. The team talk about it literally next day or the 2 days later, they're picking it up. So they're fresh in their mind. They know what they want to do. We're not wasting time talking about tickets that never get done. There's not so much of a concept of a cycle is complete for us. This year, what we want to introduce is a monthly review, like monthly review on what we do, what we did, review and share with the whole Plexure and other people, other stakeholders. Yeah.
Does that answer your question, Talat?
Yeah, still not clear to me because she said in the presentation she managed to reduce the cycle time from 40 days to like 10 days. So I'm trying to understand if this is like maybe 10 days, is it again like Scrum sprints?
It's not a sprint. Cycle time. So maybe in in Kanban University language, we would call cycle time lead time. Maybe that makes it easier because it is more like it tells more what it actually means. It means from the moment, we call it commitment point, from when you start a ticket, when you start working on it. That means the clock starts ticking until you deliver it, wherever your commitment point and the delivery point are. That is a good discussion to have. And that time in between is the lead time, or in the internet, you often find cycle time. It has nothing to do with sprints.
Okay.
So that's what we do. We measure the cycle time or lead time, and then we can actually have these metrics and have an idea around how did we work historically, and when do we need to start a new item at the last responsible moment to be able to deliver it at the date that we promised, for example.
Yeah, clear now. Thank you very much.
There was another question from Anthony. I let you ask it, Anthony, again.
Okay, right. Sorry, I know I asked a lot of questions. So my last extra question, it was like, do you have, or can you describe the feedback loop from the end of delivery back to the three of you handling upstream, so that lessons learned from delivery out to customer are integrated into how you bring work in upstream?
Yeah. That's a good question. So first of all, I know we call it upstreams and downstream, but in reality, the three of us, like team lead, PO, and architect, we actually work weekly closely with the development team. We sit with them, we work with them really closely. So we have there we go. And then so what happens is we are actually constantly observing and noticing as well already, because we are involved. And then we have we have a monthly retro, so the team gets to contribute and feed that back to us. Yeah. Thanks, Anthony, for asking questions.
No, great, great answer. Great practice, by the way. So I hope you. I got a question then. Is there one like particular insight on the last round of review, retros and lessons learned that really stuck out to you, that changed your practice in a way that has, like, been a major lift for you guys?
Okay, our last retro was in January when everyone came back from leave. So I think our retro monthly, even though we have it monthly, we actually run it differently depending on that month. Sometimes I might be like, oh, I'm just really keen to hear what has been like helping them with work. The idea of that ship, the wind is blowing and helping them. Yeah. And then like the sinker. Yeah. So sometimes I ask that. So every retro is different. And so last time, probably not so much related that I could call out. But yeah, for example, the due dates that is in the ticket title that I talked about, that one was actually from our retros. They're like, why does Sally and team lead have to remind us the tickets? We'll just put it in the ticket title. So, and as a team, we go, oh, that makes sense. Like there's no need for Sally to do personal reminders. Yeah.
Awesome. No, I was just asking for an example, like a live example of it working, not just that you do the practice, but actually, and here's the thing that actually happened. So
yeah. Hello.
Oh, any more questions?
I think Sergio wanted to ask.
Yeah, just a quick question. Sally, that great presentation. Just to know a little bit more about you showed that the team at beginning was delivering at 30, 40 days, and then
yes.
after implementation, a lot of cycles probably, working Kanban, they could reduce to 10. the cycle time. That's great achievement. I'm wondering if your team has investigated the reasons or for the bottlenecks, the team that was slowing down the team to not achieve this result before was the way they were working, probably now more focused on the tasks that were ready to work on and before not. Yeah, I'd like to know more about the reasons.
Yeah. So first of all, no, we didn't go back and look at like why they take so long back then and investigate that, not so much. But I felt like the conversations that we are having in stand up is definitely the one that made the biggest difference. At one point, we still do, but at one point we make it like a game. We go, oh, as a team, what's our focus for today? What are we tackling? What are we gonna make? How do we make the tickets from closed? Like, what do we need to do as a team to make it close? So we're constantly thinking about what we can do as a team to get the work from start to finish. So just that conversation, just those daily conversations really is improving our cycle time. And I think I said to Silky offline before, it's like obviously we are doing better in a lot of other things. We are refining our tickets. The ticket sizes are smaller. So, you know, they're not getting tickets pulled, like they're not starting in progress tickets more than they can be. Like previously, they were just, oh yeah, okay, I finished my work. Let me pull another in progress. They're like, no, you can't pull in progress because there's ticket that's waiting to be closed. Let's focus on that. And then yeah, so for example, something I didn't talk about is if I see the refining column, like for example, 5 out of 7, I might say, oh, we're not doing refinement this week because we still got tickets ready that is waiting to be picked up. And so I think it's just those observations and those conversations kind of make us, I guess, work faster. Yeah. Oh, they're gone.
Your question got answered,
Yeah.
Joe?
Thanks, Anthony. That's a great point.
Thanks a lot, Sally. Yeah, I'd like just to complement, actually making another question. You guys have made more efforts or put more efforts on the upstream to get the clarification, refinement of the main demands before refining and before get to the level that the ticket's ready to go to downstream?
Sorry, just let me rephrase that question, make sure I understand.
Yeah, just if for instance, you guys have made add more effort to the upstream.
Yeah. Yes, for
probably
sure.
That the team was taking more time refining the tickets. That.
Thanks. That's a great call out. Again, something I didn't mention in the first of all, we have a refinement. If a ticket at one point, I like to call out that if a ticket takes longer than 10 minutes or 20, sometimes they take 30 minutes talking about a ticket. So then I'll be like, it looks like the ticket is not ready to be refined. The information is not all documented, or like we need to do more spikes or investigation before we can actually refine it. Because so as a whole, the architect or the team lead or myself or the senior engineer, we need to go, is it clear for us what's on the ticket? And when we go into refinement, ideally everyone have read it in advance. And then we should just like literally there should be no surprises. Maybe it's just about clarifying testing scenarios or like expectations and whatnot. And within 10 minutes, a ticket should be able to be refined, like estimate. We give it a sizing. So by doing that, actually, in the refinement, that kind of helps them know the ticket well, what the work is expected, what is in scope, out of scope, what the outcome they should expect it to be, and therefore they refine it. And again, I said, because we're only refining when we know it's ready to start, it will be the next day or two, they're picking it up. It's still fresh in their mind. They can kind of work on it really fast. Does that help? Our refinement definitely change as well. Yes, they've got too fast for me.
Well, just an
I'm
add-on
still
from the
catching up. More problem discovery, more solution discovery. Make sure the board is filled with meaningful, valuable work for the team.
The other question is the things that they produce, right, are used by someone else. Are they delivering faster than the customers can receive?
I am very sad to say last year at one point, yes. Because the customer asked us to do a work. I wouldn't say it's anyone's fault because we delivered according to our time frame, and the customer just needed time to do their own testing or their own communication, their own education before the markets picked up the work that we delivered. But yes, they did eventually. You hope that it's within the next week or two, but no, it might take a couple of months because they needed to do their own global process in place. Yeah.
So here's an interesting question. If your team started to get a little bit too fast for you and a little bit too fast for the customers, did you guys think of, or is this something you think of this year around, okay, we're part of a wider system and we can go and help someone else who's bottlenecked because we're faster than the rest of the system now. So the whole system isn't going to go faster unless we go and help wherever they're stuck.
Yeah. So when I say system, first of all, I'm talking about external, the McDonald's side, like they global have their own processes. That's completely out of our hands. So they'll come at us with all these customer asks. And nowadays, I'm always asking, are you guys ready to pick it up? So I'll always ask, are you guys like ready to pick it up if we deliver? Or like when is the earliest you can start picking it up? So I've learned to kind of ask that question sometimes. Because it's like, oh, well, we're not going to actually use it till April. Then I'm like, okay, I'm not doing it till March, for example. Okay. Because, McDonald's is massive. They have their own whole process or their own plans in place, and they probably know that they won't use this new feature in their new campaign until June this year. So instead of us just delivering right away, sometimes we might just depends. So we have conversation again. Now I know they've laughed, but I always say to my team, you guys need to work faster. They're just still not fast enough for me. They still got so much work. I still have so much more work in my backlog for them to work. So they have to work faster. So I say that to them all the time. So unfortunately, no, it's not too fast for us just yet, but it is a comment like my team lead has made to go, oh, we have to do another refinement. Oh my God, we need to do another refinement because the team has already dried out the board.
This is awesome. I would actually like to have another subline, teacher subline here for like three topics ago. I was interrupted. So I really like the way you do estimates, I must say, because you don't use them for planning or actually forecasting and actually as real numbers, which they're not supposed to be, or not good at. But what you really do is estimating just to get a feel of how much do we actually understand the story or how much do we not understand the story. And that's where actually estimation makes sense. And I think it's the only way it makes sense. And there is one thing I always say, lots of process frameworks are about the delivery. And I always say your magic for delivery actually sits in the upstream. It sits, and what we call upstream is anything from before you start actually delivering. And that is actually, if you work more on that, and that's what that second class is about. you can make things actually really faster. If fast is actually a quality you want to have, it might be other qualities that you like to improve. It's not always about fast.
Sure. Thanks, okay, for calling that out, because that actually was in my mind, but it skipped. Our refinement is not about the number, and therefore I sum it up, and then I go, okay, we can do these numbers by the end of next week, and this is how much I can deliver by the end of. It wasn't really for that purpose. The refinement and therefore the estimation, what we've noticed in the team is that because they have to estimate, they go, oh, someone is a 2 and then someone else is a 5 or an 8, right? And it actually again triggers that meaningful conversation. We'll be like, oh, Sally, why did you think it's a 2? I'm like, oh, isn't that just like one line of code? And then the other person's like, oh, well, it's an 8 because actually you have to change it here, you have to change it here, and you have to write this, update this test case, blah, blah, blah. And then I'll be like, oh, I completely didn't know that. I forgot about that. Thank you for the information. And then we go, oh, do we want to update our estimation? And so the estimation, it's not so much for me to track them. It's actually for the team to go, actually, if you see that as a 1, that means it's small for you, compared to an 8 for me, where I see it as a large, then why is it? It's more number 1, that conversation. Number 2 is relative. So we always say 1 doesn't mean 1 day, 3 doesn't mean 3 days. It's a relative sizing. So if something that is a single line of code is a 1, then like if something else, we might say that is a 5. It's all just the relative sizing, not for my days estimate, really. Yeah.
Very nice. Right. I would say last question, if anyone has one. It's Anthony.
I'm sorry. I was just thinking out loud. It's only an out loud thought. You can see it written in the text anyway. But we're just saying, if you deliver a certain set of things to the client, you're actually getting pretty fast at it now, and producing high quality. So if you're starting to exhaust the backlog, even though you've got a lot of internal work that you deal with and that you want the team to sort of knock it over, that presents a sales opportunity. Because if you're now faster than your client, and your client can only go at a certain speed, they'd probably love to be faster. And now there's a sales opportunity of, we can offer XYZ services to help speed them up.
Ideally, that's the best state. In reality, McDonald's never run out of requests. They always have things they want us to change or add or enhance. So, loyalty, they can always come up with new ideas. So yes, but then it all definitely gives us the time to go, hey, actually, now that we are getting more stable, we're doing faster, what are the things as Plexure for loyalty domain strategically we want us to go? And therefore it's giving us that, I guess, space to reconsider that and kind of, contribute to it. Thanks.
That is also that really important thing that it links to the strategy and upstream to the strategy. And that's the really nice work you can do in that space as well. So it actually really scales up. Yeah. Is there any question from someone else as Anthony? Sorry, Anthony.
No offense.
Cool. If there are no more questions, I would actually release you to your evening. Thank you so much, Sally. If you have time after I stop the recording, just 5 minutes, so just for us to connect and get out. Thank you so much for everybody who's joined, and hope to see you again in the next meetups. We have Amanda from Australia next month, who is originally from Brazil and will not question, but think about how Kanban is different in Australia and New Zealand and Brazil, and why. So very broadly. Then in, let's it's much, then in April we will actually have a telco story from Singapore, real life story. And in June, I'm not sure, I will probably no, hang on, April, we won't have a Kanban specific topic-wise meetup, but we will have Jutta Eckstein with the topic about AI and sustainability, beginning of April. Then May we will have Singapore. In June, I'm not sure yet if we will have a meetup because I will actually I'll run a workshop in a conference in Berlin, DevOps Con, on the date that we would normally do it in June. So I'm not sure yet if we do it on another day or if we do one at all. So we'll see. That's the first half year. And yeah, so it's amazing how the year is already running. Cool. Thanks so much for all of you joining, and hope to see you again next week with Amanda.
Say thank you, everyone, and thank you for the great questions. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
And the recording stopped.
Not yet. Hang on. Looking for the button.
Thanks, Sally. I did. I know I asked a lot of questions, but just curiosity. I didn't mean to monopolize the questions. That's why I typed them all first so that